My name is Lauren Parker, and I am 35 years old. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration, but instead, I was watching my mother-in-law crush my children's spirits. Your children haven't won anything like the others. Margaret cut through the elegant banquet hall, blocking my path to the family table. My kids, Ethan, 14, and Lily, 12, stood frozen beside me, their faces flushing with embarrassment. Look at Valerie's children, Margaret continued, gesturing to Valerie's perfectly polished twins, Olivia and Nathan, with their matching violin cases and academic medals. 3-time state champions. And Tom's son just won the regional science fair. What have your kids done, except played in the dirt all day? I felt Ethan's hand tighten in mine. Lily's shoulders slumped forward, as if trying to make herself invisible. Margaret straightened her designer jacket. This is my achievement ceremony. I'm receiving the Citizen of the Year award. I can't have, she waved dismissively at my children. Underachievers at my table. What will my friends think? The banquet hall suddenly felt suffocating. Other guests were starting to stare, their whispered conversations barely masking their interest in our family drama. My husband, Daniel, was stuck at work, probably for the best. He always froze when his mother showed her true colors. I looked at my children, really looked at them. Ethan in his carefully chosen button-down shirt, his collar slightly crooked. Lily in her favorite blue dress, the one she picked especially for her grandmother's big night. They had been so excited to attend, even helping me pick out Margaret's gift. You're right, I said calmly, my voice steady despite the anger burning in my chest. We shouldn't be here. Margaret's triumphant smile made my blood boil, but I wasn't finished. Come on, kids, I said, taking their hands. We have more important things to do. Lauren, Margaret hissed, her perfectly made-up face twisting in confusion. Don't you dare make a scene. I turned back to her, my voice just loud enough for the nearby tables to hear. No scenes, Margaret. Just 3 people who know their worth isn't measured by trophies or medals. Enjoy your award. As we walked out, heads held high, I heard Lily whisper, Mom, are we really underachievers? No, sweetie, I replied, squeezing her hand. Your grandmother just doesn't understand what real achievement looks like. What Margaret didn't know, what she had never bothered to learn, was that my children had been working on something far more meaningful than any competition or award. For the past year, they had been turning our backyard into a sanctuary for local wildlife, particularly endangered butterflies. It started with Ethan's science project on habitat loss. Instead of just writing a report, he had convinced Lily to help him transform our garden. They researched native plants, built feeding stations, and created the perfect environment for butterflies to thrive. The local environmental society had noticed. They had been quietly documenting my children's work, amazed by their dedication and the results they had achieved. But we hadn't told anyone in the family. Margaret would have just dismissed it as playing in the dirt. As we drove home, I made a decision. How about ice cream? I suggested, taking a different turn. But what about the gardens? Ethan asked. We were going to check on the chrysalises tonight. The butterflies can wait an hour. I smiled. Sometimes you need ice cream to wash away bad memories. At the parlor, Lily stirred her sundae thoughtfully. Mom, why doesn't Grandma like what we do? I considered my words carefully. Some people only value things they can show off. They don't understand that real achievement isn't always about winning competitions or getting medals. Like our butterflies? Ethan perked up. Exactly like your butterflies, I agreed. You too have created something amazing, something that's making a real difference. That's worth more than any award. What we didn't know then was that our quiet exit from Margaret's ceremony would set off a chain of events none of us could have predicted. The local news station had been covering the awards, and a young reporter had overheard our exchange. She had also heard whispers about 2 kids who had created a butterfly sanctuary in their backyard. As we finished our ice cream, my phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. Daniel, Mom's furious. Says you ruined her big night. What happened? Me. Your mother decided the kids weren't achievement-worthy enough to attend. We left before she could hurt them more. His response was immediate. Daniel, coming home now. We need to talk. I looked at my children, finishing their ice cream and already discussing their plans for expanding the butterfly garden. They had no idea that their quiet dedication was about to capture the attention of our entire community. "Ready to check on those chrysalises?" I asked, standing up. Their faces lit up with genuine excitement, the kind that no amount of forced competition could create. As we headed home, I realized that sometimes the greatest achievements aren't the ones that come with trophies and ceremonies. Sometimes they're found in the quiet dedication of two kids who decided to make their corner of the world a little bit better. Little did we know, tomorrow's headline would read, "Local children create haven for endangered butterflies, while grandmother receives Citizen of the Year award." Margaret's perfectly planned ceremony was about to be overshadowed by the very achievements she had dismissed. The next morning, our quiet breakfast was interrupted by a persistent knocking at the door. I opened it to find Monica Chun, a local news reporter, standing on our porch with a camera crew. "Mrs. Parker, I'm from Channel 5 News. We heard about your children's butterfly sanctuary and would love to do a story." The timing seems particularly relevant given last night's events. I glanced back at Ethan and Lily, who were peering curiously from the kitchen. "How did you hear about our garden?" I asked, still surprised. Monica smiled. "Word travels fast. Plus, we were covering the Citizen of the Year ceremony when you left. Several guests mentioned your children's environmental project. Is it true they've managed to attract 5 endangered species?" Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. Margaret's name flashed on the screen, along with a link to the local newspaper's website. The headline made my heart skip a beat. "Young environmentalists create butterfly haven, while grandmother receives controversial award."
"Mom,"
Lily called from the kitchen. "The chrysalises are starting to move." I turned back to Monica. "Would you like to see something amazing?" The next hour was a blur of activity. The news crew followed my children through their garden as they expertly explained their project. Ethan showed off the special nectar plants they had researched and planted. Lily demonstrated the water features they had designed to create the perfect microclimate. "And here," Ethan said proudly, pointing to a cluster of chrysalises, "is where the magic happens." As if on cue, one of the chrysalises began to crack. The camera zoomed in as a monarch butterfly slowly emerged, its wings unfurling in the morning sun. "This is incredible," Monica breathed. "How long have you been working on this?" "Almost a year," Lily replied. "We started after Ethan learned about habitat loss at school. Did you know monarch butterflies have declined by more than 80% in recent years?" My phone continued to buzz with messages. Valerie, whose violin-playing twins were Margaret's pride and joy, wanted to know why her children were being overshadowed by butterflies. Margaret had left several voicemails, each more agitated than the last. But I wasn't listening to any of them. I was watching my children shine, explaining complex environmental concepts with confidence and passion. This wasn't about competitions or medals. This was about making a real difference. Monica pulled me aside. "Mrs. Parker, would you care to comment on why your family left the award ceremony last night?" I thought carefully before responding. Sometimes, people have different definitions of achievement. My children may not have traditional accolades, but they've created something meaningful, something that's helping preserve endangered species. I couldn't be prouder. That evening, our family gathered around the TV as the news story aired. My kids sat transfixed, watching themselves on television. The piece was beautifully done, showcasing their garden in all its glory, colorful butterflies dancing through the air as Ethan and Lily explained their project. Then came Margaret's reaction. She had apparently stormed into the news station, demanding they take down the story. "Those children are embarrassing our family," she had declared. "Their little garden project is stealing attention from my achievement." The station, of course, included her outburst in the segment. The contrast between my children's genuine passion and their grandmother's petty jealousy couldn't have been clearer. "Mom?" Ethan asked after the broadcast. "Did we do something wrong?" I pulled him close.
"No, sweetie.
You did everything right. Some people just can't handle it when others shine." That evening, Daniel finally found his voice. After watching the news story 3 times, he turned to our children. "I had no idea," he said softly. All this time, I thought you were just playing in the garden.
This is extraordinary.
The next morning, our doorbell rang again. This time, it was Dr. Eleanor Martinez, a respected environmental scientist from the State University. I saw the news story, she said with a warm smile. What your children have created here is exactly what we've been trying to promote. Would they be interested in helping us document butterfly migration patterns? Lily and Ethan's eyes lit up. This wasn't about winning medals or beating others. This was about contributing to something larger than themselves. As they eagerly discussed the project with Dr. Martinez, my phone buzzed yet again. Margaret had posted a long rant on social media about attention-seeking grandchildren and real achievements versus hobbies. I silenced my phone without reading further. Outside, my children were helping Dr. Martinez set up monitoring equipment, their faces glowing with purpose. Sometimes, the best response to criticism is simply to keep doing what you know is right. The butterflies danced through the garden, oblivious to the family drama they had sparked. One landed on Lily's shoulder as she worked, its wings catching the sunlight like a living medal, more beautiful and meaningful than any award Margaret could ever receive. The aftermath of the news story spread like wildfire through our community. Within days, schools started calling, asking if my children would give presentations on butterfly conservation. Environmental groups reached out about partnerships. Even the mayor's office contacted us about implementing similar gardens in public spaces. But the most unexpected development came from Valerie. Her violin prodigy twins, Olivia and Nathan, had watched the news story and become fascinated by the butterflies. They won't stop talking about it, Valerie admitted when she called.
They want to visit your garden.
But Mother has forbidden us from contacting you. I thought about my nieces, so often paraded around with their violins like show ponies.
Bring them over, I said.
Some things are more important than family politics. The next day, Valerie's twins stood in our garden, their usual perfect posture relaxed for once. Can we help? Olivia asked shyly. Maybe we could play music out here. I read that butterflies respond to vibrations. It was the first time I had ever heard either of them suggest playing music for joy rather than competition. Margaret's reaction was nuclear when she found out. But for the first time, Valerie stood up to her mother. Enough, she said during a family dinner we weren't invited to. Lauren's children have created something beautiful and important. Why can't you see that? Michael and Sarah, Ethan and Lily, received their own recognition. The State Environmental Conservation Award for Youth Leadership. They were honored not for competing against others, but for inspiring an entire community to protect endangered species. During her acceptance speech, Lily said something that brought tears to my eyes. Sometimes, the smallest creatures can teach us the biggest lessons about what really matters. Margaret wasn't there to hear it. She declined the invitation, claiming she had a more important engagement. But Valerie came, with her twins, who had started their own butterfly garden. Even Daniel's father, long silenced by Margaret's dominant personality, attended and beamed with pride. You know what's funny, Mom? Ethan said that evening, as we watched butterflies flit through our garden. Grandma's award is sitting on her shelf, but ours, he gestured to the butterflies, is flying around everywhere we look. I hugged him close, understanding exactly what he meant. Real achievements don't always come with trophies. Sometimes, they flutter by on delicate wings, leaving the world a little better than they found it.